This right here
AyeQ!
is crazy.
AyeQ!
This is what, yo, imagine him getting a hospital just to deal with, and the baby's coming out. Fellas, again, focus on yourself. That's what it is.
Nah, this right here is crazy. So this chick been single for 10 years and she met a guy and within 6 months he married her. Crazy. Dog, do you understand how many different dudes a woman ran through in 10 years? And make it even worse, not one of those dudes got in a relationship with her. That's crazy. But with no further ado, let's jump right into the video.
I'm going to tell you all how I met and married my husband within 6 months after being single for 10 years. So I moved to Dallas in August of 2021 to pursue my master's at a seminary school here. And when I got here, I was like, I finally feel ready to date, and not just date to date, but date healthily. Because prior to that, I had been single for 10 years, but that 10 years was not free of situationship and unhealthy connections and all of the things. So when I got here, I was just completely over that. And not that I hadn't been over it before, because I did want a healthy relationship. It just didn't work out. So I started school in August and I was certain that I wouldn't meet anybody at school. I didn't expect for anyone to catch my eye. No one caught my eye. And also my eyes just like, while I was at school, I just wasn't focused on that. I thought that maybe I would meet someone in the city, but just school was just a no-go for me. I just knew it. However, about a month into school, September 16th to be exact, I had to go to this class. It was like a full meeting for incoming students. So we have these small groups at school that are kind of like your small groups that you would expect to have at church, and they're led by a specific person or like small group leader. It's called something different, but anywho, that's what it is. And so you go into this room and everyone is there and everyone meets their leader during this day. It's called class day. And so the different leaders are standing up and introducing themselves. And before anyone stands up, I noticed this man that I had never seen before out of my peripheral vision on the side of my eye. Yes, he was on this side, the right side. I was like, oh my goodness, he is fine. Where has he been? I have never seen him before. But I'm focused. I'm trying to find my group. I'm trying to identify my leader. And yeah, so I'm paying attention. But then he stands up and he introduces himself as a leader of one of the groups. And so I see him stand, and y'all, I mean, even with his mask on, I was like, who is this man? And as he speaks and introduces himself, he just has this way of speaking that I was just so drawn to. Like, he just sounded like so articulate and just, I don't know, like I just was drawn. I was taken aback. It just really caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting to see anybody that would draw my attention. But anywho, class lets out. He goes outside of class and he sits down. And I felt like he had kind of noticed me while we were in class as well, but it just wasn't the time or the place. So when I walk out, I walk by him like maybe he'll say something. He doesn't say anything. And my friend grabs me and she's like, hey, let's go to chapel. So we go to chapel and I'm like, oh, I missed my opportunity. But like I said, I did hear him introduce himself in the classroom. So keep that in mind. I know his name. Fast forward, the next week I'm thinking, because these groups meet every single week, I'm thinking, well, I'll see him the following week on that same day. However, I didn't see him because we had broken off into our individual groups. So I didn't see him. I didn't see him around campus or anything. And the school is not that big. So I was like, dang. But in my head, I'm telling myself, I'm just never going to see him again. So because a week had gone by and I did know his name, I thought, okay, go ahead and just add him on Instagram. And something in me was like struggling with that because I was like, I wanted to just meet him in person. I didn't want to meet anyone online, which I know is a thing nowadays, but I don't know. It was just something in my head where was like, I don't want to do that, but I did it, okay? I didn't message him or anything. I just simply followed him. And he immediately messaged me. He messaged me the same day and commented on like a video. So he didn't DM me, but he just like commented on a video to the point to where, like, you know how like if someone comments on your story, it goes to your DMs, but it doesn't technically count as a DM. So he commented and yeah, we started to exchange messages. So all he really said was that he recognized the books that were behind me in my video and asked me, did I go to the seminary? And I responded like, yes, I go to that seminary. And that was it. He didn't write me back. Now, the following day was a Sunday, and I'm new to the city. And so I was going to these different churches trying to find which one was right for me. And that particular Sunday, two of my friends were going to this specific church and they invited me, which is actually the church that I attend now. So we went to this church, and this church has thousands upon thousands of members, right? And just keep that in mind because it gives you context for the story. So there are thousands of people in the sanctuary. I walk into the sanctuary, I meet my friends, we listen to the sermon, church goes as usual. The pastor dismisses us, we let out. As we are walking out of the sanctuary, I see this man from my side view again. And I was like, oh my gosh, there he is. But he hadn't responded to my message on Instagram. So I was just he stops me while I'm walking with my friends. He stops me and he also acknowledges them as well because he knew one of them. And he's just like talking to us on our way out. And he's like, oh, yeah, I was just talking to you on Instagram, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, cringe. Like, I don't want people to know that I'm talking to somebody on my Instagram. And so, anywho, we're walking and talking. And as we get outside, he asks for all of our telephone numbers. And long story short, we start texting and talking to each other and we start sharing our testimonies. We had a phone call that night where we just like talked about how we came to the Lord. The very next Sunday, we went out with a group of friends after church. And so that was kind of like our first meeting and the first time that I was able to see him like interact with other people, which I was like, okay, he's kind of cool. So now we're about a week and a half into us meeting. And then we start setting up dates. And so we have our first.
I ain't gonna lie, man. This is like a long ass story, but listen, here's the thing, bro. From what I'm gathering is this. And this is why y'all dudes gotta be careful, bro, because whenever a woman mark you out, whenever she targets you and say, ooh, I wanna fuck him, enjoy the pussy, fam, but don't take it serious. I'm keeping it real with y'all, bro. Because the same way she mark you out, what's gonna happen is she will get tired and she gonna eventually mark out another dude. This chick been single for 10 years, bro. This man about to try to do the impossible. It's impossible to save a woman who been in the streets for 10 years, bro. You heard her. She been in several situationships. But you're the one sucker to say, well, damn, I could change her. And I get it. She's smart. She's using God, Christianity. I'm in church. I'm a good girl. You're a good girl, but you've been single for 10 years, but you engaged in several situationships. Come on, fellas. We got to be wise out here, man. Y'all got to know how to spot a bird. But this is a long ass story, though. Let's continue.
Our first date, and we went to this restaurant in downtown Dallas, and the experience was terrible. So I forgot to mention that my husband is 6 years younger than me. And so on this date, even getting ready for this date, when I found out that he was that much younger than me, I was like, oh my goodness, Lord. Like, do not let him be acting childish. Like, do not let me be able to tell his age. And so I kind of just had that in the forefront of my mind every time we would talk. And as I was preparing to go out with him, I was just like, Lord, do not let me notice how much of an age difference there is because I cannot take it. I've never dated anyone younger than me before, and I had been dating a little bit older than me. And so I just kind of expected it to not work out. And then when we actually got to the date, if there was anything that he did that was like in a joking manner, I was like, you're childish. Like, I can't do this. I don't know. And it was just something for me that it didn't click. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Not to mention that he was super sweet, opened my door, super chivalrous. We listened to worship music on the way to the restaurant. He was like literally like in full on worship. I've never been with anybody who was like full on singing like Maverick City songs on the way to the restaurant. I'm like, you don't even know me yet. So yeah, that date did not go the best. And I was like, I kind of don't know about this. And I was used to hearing these stories of like Christian couples meeting and falling in love at first sight and everything being perfect and the sky just opening up. And so I was like, is this gonna work? So then fast forward, we have our second date. And the second date did not go that great. We went to a park and just like walked around outside. And just for some reason, I don't know, just like just it just wasn't giving what it was supposed to be giving.
Exactly, bro. She's simply saying he was too much of a good guy. He was too nice. It wasn't giving her nothing. He didn't seem like the type of dude who will bring her drama, turmoil. He weren't toxic enough. So I try to tell you all dudes, man, you can't save these birds. They will tell you exactly who they are. And if you notice, the guy is 6 years younger than her. So pretty much she took advantage of that dude. Because she already saw, oh, he's a good guy. What can I do with him? He's not really giving me that feeling that I like, but what can I do? Oh, he's young, but I do want to get married. It's gonna make me look good. She been single for 10 years. She been in the streets for 10 years. And then she turned herself to God. God, save me. Please. I'm too much of a hoe. Right? So then she's in church and it's like, oh, Christian guy. Marriage. Got him. This is crazy, man.
Just was not. I didn't feel like this strong connection. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. And I think that he felt the same exact way. And so after that second date, we actually had a conversation and we decided like, hey, I don't think that the chemistry's there. Like I'm not really feeling it. And so maybe this ain't it. And we decided to stop talking to each other. So this is part 2 of how I met and married my husband within 6 months after being single for 10 years. So when I left off, my husband and I, who I was just dating at the time, we had decided to stop dating because the first 2 dates did not go great. And so we decided to kind of just stop talking to each other. However, over the span of those like maybe 2 weeks or so, we had been talking to each other like every single day. Y'all know how it is when you first meet somebody and you're just like, oh, I can't get enough. I want to talk to you all the time, text you all the time. And so it was hard to kind of get out of that habit. But there were a few days where we just went and we didn't talk to each other. However, I was still following him on Instagram because I'm not petty, right? Okay. So I saw that he had posted a story and I knew he was volunteering at our church at the time with the youth. And I remember him posting a story and I could tell that whatever was discussed during the service that he had attended with them, like it really grieved his heart for them. And he's the type of person who like he gets so grieved for other people, and that was one of the things that I really loved about him because he really loves other people and he's so empathetic toward others. And so I could just see that in the story and I could tell that like he was really like maybe hurt or distraught. And so I just decided to reach out as a friend, like literally just like, hey, are you doing okay? So he responds in a pretty platonic way, but then after that he reaches back out and he's like, I don't know what we're doing, but you are a wife. Like, you are not my wife, but you are a wife. And you are everything that when I look at the Bible and I see the characteristics of a wife, like, it is you. And so I'm not going to be petty. I don't care about the age difference. I don't care if we have chemistry by society standards. Like, you withhold these qualities that I want to be with. Like, that I want to marry. And so let's try this again. And I was like, ooh, okay, you better take charge. Like, and it was right on my end as well. Like, there were things that I was like, this is petty. Like, why am I holding this over his head? Like, the fact that we may not have grown up watching the same shows, or we may not have known the same movie references, or that we may react to things in a different way because we do have an age difference. But in actuality, like,
This shit is sad, bro. Like I said previously, fam. When you look at a chick who been single for 10 years, she been in the streets for 10 years, a whole decade, and then she turned her life to God. That's a chick who is trying to be saved. But the thing about it is, you can't save a woman like this, bro. She's not even into him. She's into the whole marriage, the title. Because in her mind, it's like, okay, I mean, I've been single for 10 years, but at least I got married in 6 months. At least I found a man in a vulnerable position. She said he was grieving. When a man is grieving, he will latch on to anything around him for love. And women know that. Women know that, bro. That's why all of a sudden she reached out as a friend. Fellas, y'all gotta be wise out here, man. Women play mind games. That's their thing. Everything a woman do is tactical, bro. When a woman is not into you, like if she meets you and she's not really into you, and then all of a sudden she's into you, you gotta pay attention, man. What does she want? She wants something, but it's not you. And in this case, it's marriage. Sad, bro. Fellas, be wise out there, all right? That's just the bottom line.